It's ready. Just quiet for 1 second. I'll do this as the camp podcast, and then you can talk as much as you want. This is the Book Camp podcast, and today I've got a guest. I think today you're going to be in the capacity of Coach Pat rather than Paddy Falvey. Mm-hmm. We're only going to get a glimpse of sort of the personal insights, but the rest of that will be, I guess, to come in future episodes. This is a bit of a teaser, isn't it?
Thank you very much for having me here, Sam.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Like, we spoke about it ages ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I've been really excited for it.
Yeah,
I've
me too.
genuinely been really excited for it because I know you're both. I don't know how to put this nicely, but you're both a beautiful blend of very knowledgeable and passionate about what you do, and also a complete nutcase as well at the same time, in the nicest way. Like,
I think it's the perfect mix.
It is,
because then you're not too. You can be serious when you need to.
Yeah.
And then not too serious.
And silly when you need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But we said a good starting point would be like just a little bit of background, because obviously some people might know you listening, other people might not. So like, give us a bit of a background of like, I don't know. I guess we could start at school. Playing rugby and that.
So my kind of like background originally was all like rugby based.
Yeah.
Like I love rugby, and then obviously like it changed for me when I was 21, and I had a serious sporting injury. I'll go into that in a bit more detail, but I guess it all kind of like started from school. Probably coming into like my GCSEs, I got more. I didn't know whether I wanted to go into like my A levels or I wanted to go and join like Oaklands College and do like the rugby, which is what I did in the end.
Yeah.
Had a great experience there. Spent more times training on like with like sheep than with like people, because you're on a farm all day. There's some stories on that which I'll go into detail a bit later.
Maybe that'll be the after dark episode we do.
That'll be the after dark episode. Yeah, this is where like the drinks come.
This
in.
This is the PG one today.
This is the PG one. Okay, all right. Okay, so not too much swearing. I'll try my best. I don't know if
you're fine on swearing. You're fine on swearing.
So my kind of like story began when I was at secondary school. I was in my GCSEs, and I was actually doing an art lesson, and I did one of my. I'll send it over to you because you'll probably quite like it. I got really interested in the anatomy after reading books about like Da Vinci. Found I was quite good at like drawing, kind of like real life stuff, and then like muscle anatomy, human anatomy, like horses, lions. I did all that kind of crap. Not crap. It was actually quite good. Sorry, I know you said BPG. That kind of like got my interest in like the human body, and then like from there I was like, okay, so. That interested me in how you can manipulate the human body, like physically, and then from there I kind of like just went into weightlifting, like when I was younger. Probably did like the weightlifting a little bit before, because I always did like karate before the rugby, and that probably gave me that like baseline of strength. And then from there, like I got taught by a coach, which was his name was Sam actually as well. Sam.
Good name.
Best coaches out there apparently. And so he kind of like taught me like the basics of like the gym, and then I went away, did my own stuff, started playing rugby for Welling with you. We were in the centres, weren't we?
Yeah, mate. Until I got booted out because I wasn't good. I got shoved out to the wing.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I got shoved out.
Did you get shoved onto the wing? Oh, maybe we can have a chat with them about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit late now.
Yeah. 20 years later.
Yeah. But you said as well, like obviously you took the training really seriously, like your weightlifting, all of that. You obviously did bodybuilding for a bit as well, didn't you? Yeah.
So my first bodybuilding show. So I done like my Oaklands College rugby. Loved that. Was part of like Saracens Academy for a little bit as well. But it was just kind of like too much over like the 2 years for me. I kind of like did so much rugby that I ended up getting a little bit bored of it. I actually took myself away from like the rugby and got like that's when I got really interested. Into like the personal training, the bodybuilding side, the strength and conditioning. So I still do my strength and conditioning and injury rehabilitation work now. That's when I kind of like did my first bodybuilding show when I was 17 years old.
Do you know what? I still those are the ones you plastered all over like Facebook and like all of that, because I remember seeing them. I was like, Jesus Christ, because you always had a bit about you, a bit of size about you.
Yeah.
But like I remember seeing those images and like I was just like, you've obviously worked so incredibly hard for that physique.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
But you did though. That's not a lie.
Yeah, it was some days. I mean, like the first show was probably the hardest one. The second show was even harder, and then the third show was probably actually like the easiest one because that's when I'd learnt like all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit more laid back, and I could just kind of like walk into that show.
And probably like enjoy it a little bit more as well.
Sorry,
no, it's fine. I was just looking at the thing. I think I was being too loud. That's fine.
Oh no, that's fine.
But yeah, so the second one you enjoyed a hell of a lot more then.
Second show I enjoyed a hell of a lot more, mainly because they gave me more carbohydrates and more cheat meals. So I think on like the first show for like 12 weeks, I was on like for the listeners here that like know about like training and nutrition manipulation. I think I was on 100 grams of carbohydrates for 6 weeks, and then 50 grams of carbohydrates a day for like the following 6 weeks. Whereas like now it's like reversed over. Do you know what I mean? So it's like moderate protein, high carbohydrates. So you would be having like 320 grams of carbohydrates a day throughout. So I was just like literally fucked throughout the whole time, like getting ready for that show. But no, it was definitely an eye opener, and it was good fun. But then after that, I kind of like had a little bit of a switcheroo. So like I enjoyed getting ready for that show. But then afterwards, I was getting a little bit bored of it. So I wanted to go back to rugby, and that's when I got my injury after my second show.
Yeah.
And
what? Just like going back to the shows, but like what was the most enjoyable aspect of you? Like, was it the fact being up on that stage, sort of showing off all that hard work you put in? Like, what did you get out of it? Like, what was the thing the lasting thing that you remember? Like, that was my badge of honour from that.
Five Guys.
So the refeed afterwards.
The refeed was absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, the best thing about it was probably having my nails done actually. No. I think it was just like the workouts coming up to it, and then so like doing like my second and third show, like there was just a lot of people like there to support you, which was really nice. Yeah, your whole team, which is what I think I kind of like missed from like the rugby side of it, because it's that kind of like team environment. Everyone's egging you on, and it makes you feel better. Whereas like if you're getting ready for a show just by yourself solely, it can get quite like boring. Do you know what I mean?
And lonely.
It gets lonely. Yeah. You can get like depressed. I think. The third time I was getting ready for my show, I did it more myself, but like I still had like a few people there like helping me, but it wasn't like the second show or like the first show.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, is it alright?
No, it's perfect. It's perfect, spot on.
Okay, cool.
So then you came out the like sort of doing your bodybuilding, then you said you obviously then had a rugby injury, so then you're going like, fuck, what do I do now? Because you keep jumping between, I want to do rugby, I've fallen out of love with it, gone into bodybuilding, back to rugby, get this nasty injury.
Yeah.
Was it your knee, or am I making that up?
No, so it was my knee, so you'll probably actually be able to see it like on the camera where the scar is, but so I ruptured my ACL, I ruptured my MCL, split my tibia, and then I tore my meniscus as well.
You're just showing off now.
I'm just showing off, yeah. I then went on a night out that evening, because I was so angry with myself. I was in a cast. I had like crutches on, so I went to like the club. This is with like, I went drinking. I was absolutely hammered. I remember the next day I woke up, my leg was so swollen. I had to call the doctor again because it was so badly swollen. And they only done like an X-ray there. They didn't do an MRI. And then 6 weeks later they did the MRI. And then they were like, yeah, you busted your ligaments. So I then had like my surgery. And then that went really successfully, but then 2.5 months after my surgery I fell down a flight of stairs.
Was that whilst drinking as well?
That wasn't whilst drinking, no, that was for the first time completely sober after an injury. I think like the drinking goes well with like an injury to kind of like numb the pain, but as a physio now I don't do that.
Yeah, that's not recommended.
It's not recommended from experience twice. So yeah, I fell down a flight of stairs. This was just getting out after a shower, slipped. And then redid my ligaments, so I've now got to have surgery there again. Last week I was actually playing touch rugby. And I've told you about this already, haven't I? You know, as I was running backwards, because I rehabbed my knee to quite a good state. As I was running backwards, like no contact whatsoever. As I twisted, I just felt like a crunch in my leg and a massive pop. And I knew what happened before the pain came in.
Yeah.
Like when you have like experience working with people who have injuries like that and doing like a year of physiotherapy, like you know what happens before you even hit the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hit the floor like a sack of potatoes. Couldn't weight bear on my leg, and I knew I'd done something. And then I just took loads of codeine and went to hospital. Took myself to hospital.
Again, with not advisable.
Not advisable. Yeah, please don't. Like, I'm a really bad.
What's the saying? Is Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. That's what Matt Hancock, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, do as I say, not what I do. But yeah, no. Took myself to hospital. The guys on the touch were that you shouldn't be driving, and I was like, nah, I can do this. So because I couldn't wait there, but I could still put my foot on the clutch and the pedal, just about. So got myself to hospital, and then I was like hopping out of the car on like one leg, and then the woman at the hospital was just like, because it was on the England game as well.
Yes.
So I've like hobbled over there, and she's just kind of like said to me, "Oh, have you been like drinking a little bit too much?" Like, and I was like, "No, like I'm an athlete." I said to her, "I'm a professional athlete," like as a joke. And she was like, she didn't understand it, so she was, "Oh right, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "No, I'm not really, and I haven't been drinking." But then, so I went into hospital. I was waiting in A&E for 7 hours. So I got there at like 10 o'clock. I left at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had about there was probably about like 5 or 10 people that came in who had been watching the football. One fella who had just like completely like dislocated his shoulder, and I remember like another guy that had like missed a punch on someone and ended up breaking his hand punching a wall.
What a story.
So it was like brilliant. So we're all sitting in the hospital, and I just kind of like, everyone knew that they were like kind of like broken bone injuries, most of the people there. And then they were like watching like the rest of like the football game. Do you know what I mean? And even though like
they were showing it in A&E.
They were showing it in A&E, yeah. So in the emergency room, and you had like people that were coming in that were like really sick. And then you had like someone that scored a goal, and everyone just be like, yeah,
jumping up,
yeah. People
so
like,
my leg's actually broken.
Yeah. Oh no, there was a guy that actually like brushed past my leg when it was like out on the wheelchair, like just like come on, and I was like, I had my crutch, so I was like really tempted to just
give him one of them.
Just give him one, yeah. So it was, it was definitely like, it was an interesting experience, and then so that's when and then I saw the doctor. They did another X-ray, and then they told me that I broke my tibia even further, which wasn't ideal. So now
it's never good.
So we're going to plate this up.
Yeah. Although I mean, I must admit, so I mentioned actually to you just before we started recording that I'm going to be doing another challenge. I wonder, maybe this is all like an elaborate ploy for you to avoid these challenges that I'm doing. Because the other one, the cycling, I feel like maybe
a subconscious one, not a deliberate one. It's like, oh yeah, Sam's doing
the challenge again. I might just twist my knee a bit.
Yeah. Just see if I can put it out a little bit. So this time I succeeded doing that, but no.
It's a good enough excuse.
Yeah, no, I'll help you with that if you want. I'll actually help you with it. So
we'll get you involved, get you recruiting people, pushing. But you said you love just being an arsehole to people, so
part of the
fun being a PT, isn't it?
I think that is, and I think that comes from like my strength and conditioning days. So like I'm gonna be like it was quite lucky. Like I actually got a message that evening when I was in hospital from the Datchworth like coach saying, "Oh, do you want to come and help out doing S&C?" So I was like, "Yeah, like." Fantastic. So I think it's like where like one door closed. Do you know what I mean? Like another one's kind of open, and I could go down that route. But I am an arsehole.
But you have to be a bit, because you're trying to draw the best out of people.
Yeah.
If you're just like a really nice strength and conditioning coach,
you're not going to get taken seriously.
You won't get taken seriously.
Yeah.
People aren't going to push themselves because of, he's just going to be nice, he's not going to be hard on me. But like, if they know you're someone to be feared to some extent, then they're going to, you're going to be having your best form. You're going to be pushing yourself because you can spot that a mile away. Yeah,
I think it's I'll probably like rephrase this at some point, but being serious and laid back at the same time. So like if you've got like a group of boys that you're just going to like start off with, it depends like what level you're at. Do you know what I mean? So if I've got like a group of like amateur boys that I'm just seeing for like the first time, and they want to like improve on like their like kind of like endurance, I'm probably going to go there the first time and just get to know them. Do you know what I mean? I might just do like a few conditioning games with them, just like kind of ease them into it, and then the second time I'll turn into an absolute arsehole.
They won't know what's hit them.
Oh yeah, no, they won't. I'll have horns growing from my head. Like I think I actually came from Satan's left testicle. Part of me believes that. Part of me knows that. But no, I think you just have to like as well as like you're periodising your training sessions as well. You have to kind of like periodise your approach to training as well, like especially with like certain people. So like with like one-to-one stuff and like the personal training, that can get a little bit tricky. Generally the people that like I get ready for like bodybuilding shows, they are so on it, do you know what I mean? Because they've got like a deadline, and I think when you've got that deadline, you've got something like that you have to achieve.
Can you almost distill that for sort of your everyday sort of one-to-ones, like where you just say, look, imagine you're training for a show, or
Yeah.
imagine like by this date you have to get this done. But
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
the difficulty is though, and like sort of one thing I think about is like, because I guess that you're trying to sort of just make it enjoyable for them.
Yeah.
You're trying to
yeah.
make it something they want to do and like become that person that works
Yeah.
out.
I think it's more important is like being honest with them.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to like make it like fun. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if it's almost like, do you know what I mean? Imagine you were getting trained for like the military. Do you know what I mean? Like you're potentially putting your body on the line to like die, aren't
Yeah.
you? Do you know what I mean? But I think that's where like the honesty comes in. Like if you're getting ready for someone for a show, you have to let them know that it's not all going to be like a walk through the park. Do you know what I mean? It is for some people, but like I think if you're not kind of like don't have a little bit of like emotion towards it, you're not going to get the results because you don't care about it enough. I mean, it completely depends on like who you are as a person. Like some people will just like walk through it. Do you know what I mean? Like no problem at all. And that's why like every single person is like individual. And I think like at like the start. So like for example, like I'm meeting these like new boys tomorrow, doing the strength and conditioning session, and I'm probably going to get them to do like some like pretty like not like killer, but like pretty horrendous like fitness drills at some point in the game. Some point in the training session, and so what I kind of like do before we go, I'll say to the boys, like I'll make it specific to them, like okay, so like rather than saying like why are we going to do a fitness drill, I would be like, what is the benefit of this fitness drill going to be?
Asking them to suss it out,
investing
them in it,
yeah. So like, what are you going to benefit from this?
Yeah.
What is your game going to benefit from this? What is your team going to benefit from this? So it includes everyone.
That's a really nice way of doing something horrible.
It's a nice way of doing something horrible, yeah. Which is you kind of like, it's like neuroplasticity. You're like not neuroplasticity. Sorry, what do you call it? What's that word? I forgot the word. I'm just waffling now. No. That's the best way for me to answer questions. It's not neuroplasticity. That's because that's your own brain, but it's like neurolinguism, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're rephrasing it, so you'll make it's almost like people with like anxiety. Do you know what I mean? You're turning their fears into positives.
With a very subtle tweak in the phrasing, as you're saying, rather than going, you're doing this, you're going, what do you think the benefits of us doing this are? This drill that I set up,
exactly.
And it also, I guess, then, you're actually their friend at that point. They can see that
I won't be their friend after.
No, maybe not after. But at that point in time, they're going, okay, he has our interests at heart because we can see how this would apply to like a game situation. That's a hell of a background, Pat.
Thank you.
It is a hell of a background. Like you've done a hell of a lot, and you're still doing more as well. Like obviously, you're doing your physio.
Yeah. So I've done my first year of uni now,
and as if that wasn't enough.
No, especially during the pandemic as well. That was interesting because some of us went on to placements at the beginning. Some of us didn't. We kind of got. So in my first placement, I was at a hospital in I think it was in Harlow, Princess Alexandra Hospital. And it was only 2 weeks, but like they were so short on staff as well. But like it was just an incredible like atmosphere. Like what I kind of like felt there was like being part of a team, like a rugby team again, almost. You know what I mean? Because with a virus or like when you're going on, like you know it as well from like your medical like background, like when you're on like the wards and stuff, and you're doing like your ward rounds, like everyone's kind of in that like team meeting. And it kind of takes me to that like those like rugby days where it's like you would meet up and then you would chat about how you're going to approach this game. Do you know what I mean?
And obviously everyone has different skills.
Yeah, everyone's got different skills.
Everyone brings something else to the table.
Yeah. You might have like your scrum halves, or you might have like your doctors.
Yeah.
Like your scrum halves and your tens, or your doctors. Your I don't know, like your do you know? I'll probably say your flankers, or your physios, because they're just relentless and
just
they're trying
bodying people.
Just bodying people, trying to get people up after they've had broken legs, which is probably why I was a bit sadistic and tried to weight bear. I think I'm a little bit obsessed with pain, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like your backs are like your nurses. That's horrible, but the nurses do so much.
Yeah. Well, they're the first ones that you talk to as well.
They're the first, and they're like communication skills are like absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Not just to like other members of staff, but to you, to like the students, and also the patients as well. And like their like ability to like adapt like to like, but I think just for them it just feels like natural now. Do you know what I mean? It's just in like a day's work for them. But it was just like even though it was like a tough experience because there was a pandemic going on. The first patient that I saw had coronavirus and he coughed in my ear, and I remember getting anti-bac gel. and just shoving it down my ear. I ended up giving myself an ear infection, and I couldn't hear anything out of my right ear for like 2 weeks.
Better safe than sorry.
So better safe than sorry, yeah. And it was just so red, and like my tutor was just like, "You're an absolute idiot.
What have you done?
What have you done, you banana?" Yeah. So I couldn't hear anything out of that ear, but I could hear out of that ear. So I'm surprised I wasn't one of the patients myself. But no, it was really good, and like there was some nasty things in there, but there was also some good things in there. Like when you see people recover, that's nice. I don't think like, even though like it was very intense, do you know what I mean? It was a very good experience, like for myself personally, as like a physio, because it's not just being like a personal trainer now, like or like a strength and conditioning coach, where you're with like athletes or you're with people that like young people, you can now relate to kind of like anyone who maybe has like an illness but has certain goals. Like elderly people who are like coming back from like hip replacements, knee replacements as well. So it's definitely been like an eye opener. Yeah.
And it's early days, of course, but
yeah.
Do you think you made the right choice?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, without a doubt, because like now, like I'll go into my. I'm glad that I've done physiotherapy later on in life.
Because you've got a wealth of experiences behind it.
Yeah. So I've got 9 years' experience as a personal trainer. I've got a degree in sports and exercise studies already, and I've done like my sports therapy for the last 2 years in strength and conditioning. After my rugby at Oaklands College. They took me on as a strength and conditioning coach, paid for me to do my personal training, which was really nice. So I've been combining those for like the last couple of years. So it's not kind of like, for me, it's like I don't specialise down one area. I like to be able to fit all. But like the sports side is more my kind of like interest. So yeah.
A lot going on.
Too much going on, yeah.
And I think we're almost going to pause you at the point where you're talking about like your personal training.
Yeah.
Because that was what we wanted to today have a bit of a focus on.
Yeah.
Because we said this, we could talk about Paddy's life story for
we're gonna
ages.
Yeah.
We haven't even got into any of the real stories, like the nitty gritty stories yet.
That's probably about 10% of it.
But let's talk about personal training. I think we said a good starting point would be to sort of maybe explore some of the myths.
Yeah.
Around training, fitness, nutrition, any of that. Like, I guess there's some that come to your mind immediately.
I think so. Like the thing that comes to my mind straight away is probably that like girls shouldn't like weightlift, which is an absolute myth. Weight training is for absolutely everyone and everyone, and like you can get like even like young kids can like do weightlifting now. Do you know what I mean? They're teaching it to kids in school in like America. As part of their development, because if they're lifting like the right amount in the right way, it can
as long as they're not overdoing it.
As long as they're not overdoing it, as long as they're not lifting too heavy a weight, it can actually contribute to their growth and development as like an athlete or like a person. So yeah, I think it's I think that's like the biggest myth is, and I think it's also another one is like moving with like an injury as well. And whereas like a lot of
moving with an injury is a bad thing or a good thing?
I think it's a good thing.
A lot of people seem to think it's a bad thing.
Sorry. What I'm saying is that like, a lot of people tend to think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But like what I'm learning, like what I've learned from like my physio stuff, but like even as like a PT, and I think this is why people hate me. They come to me with a little niggle, and then I completely fuck them up. Do you know what I mean? But then a week later, then
they see the benefits. They understand it. Because I mean, my understanding of that is, so say if you got an injury, you know, you sort of like you knocked your knee out one way, or your muscles, if you got a slight tear or whatever.
Yeah. You got me now. Yeah.
If you just leave that, sit on that, it's then going to grow back in a way where you've immobilised it. Exactly. You're not doing. It might just grow off that way. Yeah. It's supposed to go straight ahead, and it's
and you're going to be you're going to get like you could potentially get like Trendelenburg, do you know what I mean? Syndrome.
I don't know what that is.
So that's where like the hip just like drops. Do you know what I mean? Because the whole body's trying to readjust itself, and it can happen in mainly in like older women. But it's where like the hip socket like drops to like the hips drop to
and
one
obviously
side.
that comes with its own problems
and
as well.
That comes with its own problems. So you're looking at like the spine, you're looking at the curvature of the spine. It affects your posture. And then you obviously know if like your posture is compromised, and
I'm just doing a posture check now as you said that.
I can't be arsed.
You've got a comfy chair. You don't need to.
This chair's amazing. Like, I can stick my leg out. But like, so like for like my leg examples, you know what I mean? Like where I've fractured like the actual tibia here. I did that a week ago. Swelling's gone down like completely now. I've got full range of motion like back in my knee. It hurts like fuck.
Yeah.
But those are like the right parts of the healing process that you've got to go through. Do you know what I mean? You need to go through that inflammation stage, clear all the shit out of the knee, get rid of all the scar tissue, and then you can allow that proliferation stage and the remodelling stage to begin, where like the scar tissue starts to heal. So I'll probably go, well, because I'm going to the fracture clinic this Thursday, and the doctors will be like, "What the fuck, why aren't you on your crutches?" Because I think that's a lot what doctors do. Do you know what I mean? They like go on crutches. But then I think it's the thing where it's like if you've got like sporting goals, like I want to be able to go on a bike ride with you, for example. Do you know what I mean? And probably I'll get hit by a car, and I'll probably still walk it off. But
but that's one of those. I guess it's difficult though, because obviously you know, talking to you now, you're someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. Yeah. And if this is someone else who might not have your background.
Yeah, so
and that's why I think it's crucial if you're trying to recover from an injury. You see someone who knows what the fuck they're doing.
You need to see someone that knows what they're doing. Like that's why I was like, I could probably not go to A&E, but it's not going to get any better. So I took myself to A&E. I got the scans, and that's why they're sending me to like the fracture clinic, and then I'll go for like an MRI. Do you know what I mean? And I'll get that booked in, and then I'll like I've got a plan of action. Do you know what I mean? And my goal at the end of it now is like, look, rugby's out the window now. Like it wasn't even during rugby; it was during. Just touch rugby. I didn't even get touched. I literally just twisted. I ran back. My foot got caught in the ground, and the tibia just like twisted on itself, which was not ideal. But then that could be because of like the lack of ligament strength that I had there last time. So yeah, sorry. I know we're supposed to be talking about personal training.
No. It's all relevant.
It's all relevant.
It is all relevant because you're talking about like that recovery process that you sort of been through yourself. Right, continuing then. So just to summarise sort of the myths you said already were about, so one was about weightlifting isn't for girls. That's one that you come across quite a lot. Yeah,
it's just that's one of them, and it's just like where I think it's sometimes they're just like a little bit nervous like approaching it. And it's where they're like told differently. I think sometimes it's a bit of the mother's tale as well. Like this, you kind of like weightlifting now has only been kind of like a thing now for like the last 50 years, hasn't it really? When you think about it, so you're getting like a previous generation being like, oh no, don't do that, you're going to get yourself injured. But like the research that is coming out now saying that like everyone should do it. Do you know what I mean? Like get kids doing it, but in the right way.
It's
like don't just go straight into it. Like they need like proper programs.
Like anyone.
Anyone.
And I think
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly. And we'd all benefit from that. And then also as well, that's something that's crucial. As you said, so your second myth that you said, like not moving when you've got an injury, as well as that first one, you know, girls or whoever's just starting out in training, like weightlifting, you should do it under the guidance of an expert.
I think like girls and guys, I mean, like there's not much difference to us, like physiologically. Say for example, you've got like female track athletes and you've got male track athletes. Like we're so similar.
There's more variation, I guess, between like guys and between girls, like within brackets of themselves, than there is between guys and girls, if that makes sense. Like more intra variation than there is inter variation. I think that's the right way of saying it.
Elaborate. You know how my brain works. Simplify it for me.
Simplify it. So
simple.
Men similar.
Yes.
Men similar to girls.
So it says that men
more than like, so they're more similar between men
in terms of
like
their
women.
Like structure.
Like them. Then there is the variation between the men themselves and the girls themselves. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. So like, there's a wider range for men and a wider range for girls, but like there's so much overlap.
Well, because you've got like I mean like the top like you look at them kind of like individually, and you look at like the top female track athletes. You know what I mean? They're lean, they're shredded. They have like muscly thighs. I think most of them are quite short though. Whereas like the men, but they're like the same build. Do you know what I mean? They're lean, they're shredded. They haven't got a lot of body fat. They're just like athletic. Do you know what I mean? It's the same formula, like the training, the training is like the same as well. Which all kind of which all starts at the grassroots. So I'm going back to that. Weightlifting is for everyone.
Okay, more myths. Let's get some more.
Myth. Carbs are bad.
Carbs are bad.
Yeah,
elaborate.
Carbs are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Carbs are what make people happy.
Yeah.
Chocolate makes people happy, not carbohydrates.
But like anything in moderation.
Yeah. Carbs should be, in my opinion, spelled with a K, because carbs are king. So in terms of like performance, in terms of like recovery, You need like before you can start synthesizing protein in the muscle, you need glycogen in the muscle itself to then start synthesizing that protein. So you're not really going to get any gains. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to build,
if you're just having a pure protein diet.
If you're just having a pure protein diet, I mean, like there are guys that can do it. I mean, like you can convert like a certain amount of like fats into carbohydrates. You can go into this thing called like ketosis. Obviously, don't do it if you're a type 1 or a type 2 diabetic.
Yeah. Not recommended.
Not recommended, no. But I mean, I've always had carbohydrates in my diet. Like getting people ready. I try and keep a diet as simple as possible. Not as interesting, but just kind of like as easy as possible for that person. And like I said before, like carbohydrates are like a king. Like I've got some guys. Like it depends on like where they're at as well. So someone that's going to be like a little bit like heavier or probably has a little bit more body fat. It's probably going to be better off having less carbohydrates anyway.
And I guess it depends massively on their goals.
Yeah. Because they're storing body fat. They're massively different to their goals. Their body's storing fat anyway. Yeah. They're going to shrink those fat cells by using the energy that they have in those fat cells that they don't turn it into carbohydrates, but they'll just use it as energy when they're training. But I think like everyone is very individual. Everyone is very individual.
But I think most industries these days, but I think particularly training, has this sort of, everyone wants that one size fits all answer,
and there's never going to be one.
And there's never going to be. And the thing is, even for yourself, so that there could be a right answer for you at the stage of your life you're at now. 5 years down the line, even like a year down the line, that might be different.
Oh yeah. I mean, like what I've noticed now, like the difference between now and when I was 21 years old, when I got ready for my last bodybuilding show. I was doing a degree then, but I was living at home with my parents. I had like no overhead costs. I wasn't. I'd actually just come out of a relationship, so I had all this time like on my hands. Do you know what I mean? Just to kind of like focus on the show and focus on my studies, and that was it. Whereas now, like I do like the bodybuilding side, but like I've got a dog. Do you know what I mean? Both got dogs. I've got a partner that I've been with for like 5 years. Do you know what I mean? She kills me all the time about the tidying and cleaning. And
she keeps you on the straight and narrow though.
No, she does keep me on the straight and narrow. Like she holds me together. I'd be completely screwed without. I'd just be like the messiest person known to mankind. But yeah, no. So like I've got those things, but it's about working around them. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm doing another degree now, and I'm also doing like one-to-one coaching. I'm doing therapy, rehab work. I'm doing strength and conditioning with a rugby club. So you've got to take your time out of that to like write up programs for people as well. So like bodybuilding, I think you kind of have to be very minimalistic, a little bit more kind of like have like a Buddhism approach to it, where it's like they minimalise everything. Do you know what I mean? They're like their houses aren't very cluttered. They've got very simple things. Their routine is like very systematic day by day. It's like you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you go and like you do your cardio. Do you know what I mean? Or like your Buddhism, like Buddhist monks, they're like scraping like the floors. They're cleaning. Do you know what I mean? You then go and have your breakfast, for example. You then wait a few hours and you go and do your training. You've got your meals structured. You're cooking your meals throughout the day, or in the morning or late in the evening. You then have your workout. You have your post workout. You watch a bit of TV and then you go to bed. Whereas like now, do you know what I mean? Like that might be good for someone that has that kind of
that goal in their mind
and that time to do it. But yeah,
that was a very long roundabout explanation for why carbs are good.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, sorry.
Do you know what though? But like, you did say keep you to task, but the problem is like all of what you're saying is relevant to the bigger picture, and like what you're saying about it does speak into that fact of there's not one answer.
No.
And I think that's where a lot of the myths come into. Like they're sort of so absolute. Yeah. And they're so like, don't do this, don't do that. But we like that because then it makes it, it makes it
interesting.
But for us, that makes it, and we're looking for the easy and simple answer.
There's nothing.
The truth is, there's no such thing.
There's nothing like there's nothing easy about like transforming your life.
No.
There's nothing easy, and it shouldn't be. Like it's there to kind of kick you up the arse.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have like clients of mine that like they struggle to kind of like see much of a change over like a month time, and then when it kind of comes to like a month down like the line and they haven't seen much different, It's probably because there's something else going along. Do you know what I mean? You're giving them all of the tools, you're giving them as much reinforcement as you can, but there's only so much like help that you can give to someone. Like you've got to be able to help yourself. You've got to be able to like you don't even. It's not like motivation gets you started, but discipline sees you through.
And to be honest, I think that's the stage that a lot of us, myself included, get to that stage of that 1 month down the line, and we haven't seen because you can't visually recognise what's gone on, or you know, you might even not. Most people will after a month, like if you're taking it seriously, training, feel a lot better.
I don't even think that. I think like there was no point like during like my bodybuilding shows preparations that I felt good.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like I was I like the only times that like I felt good was when I was like tensing in the mirror. During my workouts, do you know what I mean? Like some of them were horrible, some of them were horrific. Like I was sick with some of them. Like after the leg sessions, that might have been from too much pre-workout. But like you're in that fight or flight response, and your body doesn't like being in that for too long. And especially like when you're very like carbohydrate depleted, like and you're miserable. You're miserable. You can't think straight. Like, but I think having that end goal, like you know that it's only going to last so long. A lot of people when they go into it, they think this is going to be it forever. They think like, oh, I'm going to be like on this diet forever, and it's not the case. Do you know what I mean? It's generally it's like you start like a 2-week block. Do you know what I mean? You start like a 2-week block, and it's like it depends on like the goal. So going back to like carbs are like carbohydrates are key. Most diets that are out there, the only like for weight loss and for fat loss, the only similarity that they actually have. This is when I did like a peer review study, like top journal, top scientists, top nutritionists. They found that the only real similarity between them and why people were losing weight was because people were in a calorie deficit, and that's all you need to.
I mean, ultimately, that's the only thing that obviously, as you say, sort of depending on like your particular circumstances, one might suit you better, but ultimately, that's the only thing that matters is to be in a caloric deficit. And if you're doing that, like if your goal is to lose weight, then you're going to lose weight.
First 4 weeks are going to be great for you.
But
stop eating. Just cut some of your calories out, and that's it.
But I wanted to go back to like what we were sort of saying about sort of so when we're seeing those people sort of after that first month of training and like they're not seeing results. You must be sort of sat there going like you've like because a lot it is delayed. You won't see the results until maybe 3 or 4 months. Like then will be visible results then. So it's like you must be sat there really frustrated. At times, no, because you know they put the work in, they've got the ball rolling with it, and the results are pending. They're in the post.
Like especially when like you lay out like a plan for someone. Like, I mean, it is quite like you kind of like you get like a text and you're like, oh, okay, like it's been like another rough week. Do you know what I mean? And if you're seeing that for like 4 weeks, of like at some point you're kind of thinking, it is annoying. But you don't want to get annoyed at that person. Like, then eventually, like you're there to help them. So you kind of like have to feel like a little bit of empathy there for them, and you kind of have to be like, right, what is happening? Is there something that I can't help them with? Do you know what I mean? Is it like a medical thing? Do I want them to go to their doctors and get their bloods done? Do you know what I mean? Do I want them to get their like thyroid checked? Could it be like a medication that they're on, for example, that I haven't like overlooked or I haven't asked them in the first place? But the majority of it is like psychological. Do you know what I mean? And if you, do you know what I mean? Like if for like some of these people, like when they're starting, like they might be feeling miserable, or when they don't see like, do you know what I mean? Imagine if you hadn't like lost weight for like 4 weeks, you're going to be feeling crap. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be thinking, like what the hell haven't I done right? Do you know what I mean? And then if you've got like a coach, do you know what I mean? You're worried that coach is going to come biting down your neck, which is going to make you feel like even more like shit. Do you know what I mean? So.
That's not the aim, though, is it?
It's not the aim. No, you're there to motivate people. You're there to inspire people. But it kind of like goes to like that thing where it's like a person can only help themselves so much. So what I'll do with like some people is I'll like fob them off. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like in physio. If they're not seeing like results after 4 weeks, you get them to go see a specialist. So if it's not going right for like 4 weeks, I might send someone to like an actually qualified dietitian, and I might be like, right, so it might be their kind of like psychological relationship with food, or it might just be something completely like entirely separately like but psychologically related, if that makes sense. Maybe they've got depression, maybe they've got like anxiety, maybe that's because of that, do you know what I mean, their cortisol's increasing and it's making them want to seek like a dopamine hit, which most of them are getting in the form of fast food.
I think we're with nutrition, I think we could do a whole episode on.
I think
there's so much we can go into. and I think we'll save a bit. Like we've obviously touched on like the carb side of things, that myth, but I think there's so much there to unpackage. I wanted to mention like a myth that I've come across a lot, and I think a lot of people subscribe to it.
Yeah,
and it is the one that cardio kills gains.
Nah, cardio's great.
Cardio's great.
Yeah, cardio's great.
You heard it first from a bodybuilder.
Cardio's king. Yeah. Cardio with a K again.
Where does that myth come from? Does it?
Well, I think it's someone somewhere said you don't want to do too much cardio because you're going to be like working your muscles too much. And,
but does that not just come down to overtraining in general?
I think that just comes down to overtraining in general. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, if you're looking to like kind of like build muscle, do you know what I mean? You're going to be wanting to train the body like intensely for a short duration of time, working on like your strength and your hypertrophy repetitions, and then making sure that you're allowing those muscles to recover 100%. A good book to read on that would be a guy called Mike Mentzer on HIIT training. It's a bit outdated, he's from like the 1970s. And another book from Dorian Yates. I think like you can look at his Blood and Guts, but the research now, do you know what I mean, is more kind of like focused on consistency rather than intensity. So there's a great Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach, and you see most MMA fighters are kind of like from South America, like most of like the top level ones, and then he's got them like training at 70% intensity all the time. Do you know what I mean? But then you come over and you look at like Western style. It's very much like 100%, like all the time, and that's why you get.
Is that sustainable?
It's not sustainable, no. Like I don't know, like when it's kind of like imagine trying to cram in a dissertation. Do you know what I mean? With like a week. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you want to be up? Do you want to be doing it? Would you rather be up like 12 hours a day? Do you know what I mean? Writing up your dissertation, getting 4 hours sleep, and then going again, or would you rather do 3 hours, like 1 hour a day, like every day or every other day of the year? Do you know what I mean? Where you can like because when you go like too intense, you can't really reflect as well, I think. But when you kind of like when you're training at 70% the whole time, when you're being consistent with your training, you're building habits that way. When you're kind of like going too much, like if you're going to like go flat out all the time, you're going to eventually burn out. You're not going to enjoy your training, and I think that's kind of like one reason why I fell out of like bodybuilding and like the rugby initially. Was because I was kind of like right, I'm going to go 100% all the time, and that necessarily like with the research that's coming out now, and it's like now I have that understanding that like consistency is better than intensity.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that doesn't mean you can't have the odd 100% in you.
No.
So but I think that 70% is, as you say, sustainable, and if you can consistently do that, the likelihood is, so long as like you're doing something you love and you enjoy, you're not going to fall out of love with it.
No, exactly, and you need to know what that 100% feels like. So when we were playing rugby, like when we were like coming up to like our like county cup final, do you know what I mean? We had to perform 100% then. Do you know what I mean? You have to give everything. But like, do you know what I mean? Like the training leading up to that, do you know what I mean? We weren't peaking in training. We were tapering the training so that we peaked like in the game. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's one reason why England, like the Rugby World Cup, do you know what I mean? They played so well against New Zealand in the 2019 World Cup, but then against South Africa, like some of the boys looked a bit.
We peaked too early.
Probably a bit. Well, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like it might have been.
I say that. I say we. You're wearing New Zealand shorts right now.
New Zealand shorts, yeah. Well, that's like one of the kind of like things that is out there. Do you know what I mean? Like you get like a lot in athletes is that like they peak too early. Like you can do it in bodybuilding as well. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're getting ready for that show day, if you kind of like peak on your carbs the day before, you're at risk of overspilling. So you're at risk of looking watery on the day of the show as opposed to grainy, and you look better on the day before the show or after the show.
So cardio doesn't kill gains.
Cardio doesn't kill gains, no. So whatever you got from that about cardio, no. I mean, I think like obviously don't do cardio for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't do like
unless you're training for, again, but there's always provides like unless you're training for like endurance events.
Yeah. So unless you're training for like endurance events, and it's like you could technically, you could like if that's gonna suit you, like if you're like a long distance runner or you're mainly like a cyclist. Then most of your sport is aerobic endurance, isn't it? then yeah, go and do cardio. Then that's fine. Go for that. Like it's good for like fat loss as well because it's putting you in that calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Like the favoured time is like do it in the morning, or you could do like some high intensity rounds like after your training, in the evening. But yeah, no.
You, as you say, like you do a bit of fasted cardio, don't you?
Yeah, so I'll get up. So I'll like generally fast for 16 hours and then I'll eat for 8 hours. But I'll still do like fasted cardio on Sundays. And I'll get up. I'll just do like 30 minutes. I'll do like a 5-minute warm up. Do you know what I mean? I'll go flat out for 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? I'll gradually increase the resistance. And then what I'll do is I'll go 10 seconds flat out, and then 50 seconds recovery, 15 seconds flat out, 45 seconds recovery, and then 20 seconds flat out, 40 seconds recovery, and then I'll do like a minute on that resistance, and then I'll ramp it up a little bit, and then just do that for 20 minutes, and then just 5 minutes at the end, and you've like, I did it on the bike the other day, and I think I burnt like 450 calories or something like that.
Yeah.
Just done like there. So there's different types of cardio, isn't there?
Yeah, and
like,
different horses for different courses. Like you can find the cardio that, because the thing is, like for some people, like the idea of running is head on earth.
Yeah.
But you might enjoy getting on an exercise bike. You might enjoy getting on a rowing machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might enjoy swimming.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
There are so many different forms of it. And
I
I think that's maybe where that myth comes from, is sort of a form of avoidance where people are like, I don't really like this.
Yeah, I think
like they've found one form of, they've gone for a run and they're like, fucking hell, I'm not managing this. But
do you ever remember like when we were younger? Do you know what I mean? When we turned up to a rugby session and they'd be like 2 hours long, a game. But did we ever call it cardio?
No.
No. Do you know what I mean? Like you
need to frame it in a way that's enjoyable.
You need to frame it in a way that's enjoyable. Yeah. So obviously that's like competing, and when you're in the moment, you're not thinking about the cardio then.
Yeah.
But I think like when you're kind of like more like more like individual, like you're thinking about it more of like as a chore. Do you know what I mean? Like if you just get up and you go and do it.
Yeah.
Like people kind of like think of it more as a chore now. But like when we were 16, it's like right, you just get up and you go for a run for like the sake of it.
Run around the field for 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If you put it like, oh, you're gonna be running around the field for 2 hours, chasing the ball you might not get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's gonna do that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think people make it like too specific now as well.
Yeah.
Rather than like go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Go and enjoy yourself. Go for a run. And it's that's how I try and like kind of like make my coaching. So like I'll have like some clients with me and they'll be like, oh yeah, like they want it to a T, and that's fine. I'll give that to them. But some people are like, oh, like aren't you gonna like kind of like kill me like a little bit more? And I'm like, no, just like go and have like a little bit of fun. Because ideally at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? Like nothing lasts forever. And like you want them to go and enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
And as well, like as we've sort of alluded to already, like you want it to become a habit.
Yeah.
You want it to be that enjoyable. You want to be someone that just goes to the gym. You don't want to be someone that has to go to the gym. You want to be someone that goes to the gym.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
Yeah, yeah. And you want to make it consistent.
Yeah. Do you know what? We'll finish the myths there, because I'm looking now. We've only got a little bit of time left. No. Do you know? I love it though, because there's so much we can go into.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just ask you a couple of direct questions and then we'll close it off.
Yeah, sure.
So I wanted to ask you, what for you is the most enjoyable thing about training?
I would just say the most enjoyable thing is probably like the endorphins that you get at the end of it. So I'm quite like into like my meditation, and I find training a bit of a meditation as well. I like the whole like routine of a session as well. Because it kind of like makes me feel like I'm a bit on that like rugby pitch, and then like I did rugby in the first place because I enjoyed it, and that was like 80 minutes where like you could just kind of like zone out completely, and not think about everything else. So yeah, I would just say like enjoyment.
Like meditation of sorts.
Yeah, so like I mean like meditation is just basically focusing on something without thinking, isn't it? Do you know
Getting
what I mean?
into that flow state.
Getting into that flow state, yeah. And then going on about like that's why like most of my training sessions now I don't train at 100%, I train at 70%. And then I kind of like track my weights over time, and then I realise in a 4 weeks time my 70%, which would have been like on the first week, would have been my 85, 90 to 100% on my first week, is now my new 70%. And I can continue with that. Like I can do that all year round, do you know what I mean? And I could continue getting stronger.
So
like when my bench would be like 60 kilos to start with, like now it would be 60 kilos for 10 reps. I think my best was 140 for 8 reps. And that was when I was like big back in the day. And then, but yeah, like even then, like, do you know what I mean? I didn't feel like too fatigued afterwards.
No,
it was just a build up.
And that's the funny thing is, so like by doing that 70% consistently,
yeah,
you end up doing that 100% through doing the 70%. If that makes sense, because eventually, that as you say, that 70% becomes and surpasses your 100%. So although
it's a great way of tricking the system.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Although you might want to be doing it 100% and be at it all the time,
Yeah.
you can do just a couple of weeks down the line.
Yeah, exactly.
But
without realising it, yeah.
But people oftentimes want to be at that limit.
Yeah.
Because then it's just like a lot more dramatic. It's not like that.
Yeah, I think people like in the gym, like they like the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They like to kind of like they like to think like, oh, people are like watching them.
No one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit now. But like when like if someone's doing like really well, like I've got friends in like the gym that I train, and I see them doing really well, and I respect them and I admire them for it. Do you know what I mean? Because I egg them on, yeah, because like I know they're doing it for themselves. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like sometimes when you get screamers in the gym, I just can't stand it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And it's I think it was like one guy, like he was doing like the hack squat the other day. Like he was only young, he was like about 17 years old, and he was like doing 2 plates, and like he was absolutely screaming. Do you know what I mean? And you just turn around, like he like deafened you. It was that loud. You just wanted to slap him in the face. But like he was just like bellowing at like the top of his voice, and then like a girl went over there and started warming up with like the weight that he was screaming on. And I was just like,
you've just been told that.
He's just been told. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he's just been shown, and that's like that kind of like made my day. But yeah.
I'm just trying to think how to close it off. Like, what a nice way to close. I guess my question for you is one of, what do you think we reach first? And I think I know the answer already myself. But like, do you think what comes first, the physical limit or the psychological one?
Psychological, definitely.
Yeah,
all day. Because you could, if you tell yourself you can, you'll do it. And if you tell yourself you won't, you won't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always going to be psychological. Or like you always have to be careful though. So like, don't egg yourself on like if you're feeling like tight. Do you know what I mean? Don't egg yourself on if you've got like a little bit of an injury.
That's where you hurt yourself.
That's where you hurt yourself. I think it's more about being logical and like smart with your training. And again, just making sure that like you're like focusing on technique more than anything, because that's where like most injuries come into it. But I think like your mind will always give up before your body, which is why like your mind's a muscle. Do you know what I mean? You've got to train that as well.
Work on it through your meditation.
Yeah,
through
meditation.
Find something that works for you.
Yeah. Can I use your toilet again quickly? Right, you got me 100% focused for the last little bit now.
Now all we need is 70%, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise you burn out, didn't you? Do as I say, not as I do. What was it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There we go. Is that right?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Right, continuing.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I need a little bit of a wee break. I got
Paddy's third wee break again. It must be the coffee. The coffee must be too strong.
I think it's the coffee and the excitement.
A combination.
It's a combination, yeah.
That's sort of my one final question, quickly before we just literally close off. Is so picture someone now who's like maybe just starting out on training, or maybe they've done a little bit, dabbled with it.
Yeah.
What would be like your first piece of advice to them?
Oh God.
Paddy, I'm giving that, like, if you're struggling, I'm going to give you the easy way out, and it's a great plug for you as well.
What's that?
Find a personal trainer.
Yeah, find a PT.
Find a decent PT.
Give me a message and I'll.
What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle. It's not my love handle. I'll tell you that. So it's Patrick _ Is that what an Instagram handle is?
Yeah.
Oh, is it just your username?
Yeah, your username.
Oh, it's Patrick _ Falvey_fitness. And it's the longest Instagram personal training name out there. But yeah, we get results. So for like someone like just getting into it, I would just kind of like really try and work with them, just to kind of like get really specific on what they want to achieve. Make sure that they're having fun as well. So don't go flat out. Do you know what I mean? Don't go to 100% to begin with. Focus on technique. Find out what your weaknesses are as well as your strengths, and work on both of them equally. And yeah, just get the basic lifts in as well, like your bench presses, your deadlifts, your squats, because they're like your main like movements. They're like your main movements. You'll use them like in every day. Do you know what I mean? And the main compound lifts as well. It's the same with like rugby. If I had someone like just doing a new S&C program, I'd want to teach them how to squat, bench and deadlift, because they're really good for like mobility, and better mobility means less injuries, and an overall like well developed physique. Like you're laying your foundation there. Generally it would probably, like, I think I had a guy, you can get like two ends of the spectrum. So I had a guy that was like 17 years old. He was like an ice hockey player, like a national player, but he had like no squat technique. He had the tightest hamstrings, and like we worked on that. That was pretty good. He's now in Canada playing ice hockey, so he's good. 2 years later, getting paid big money. I want that money.
Yeah, where's Paddy's cut?
Where's my money? Yeah, where's my cut? I deserve at least 20% of it. No, he's doing well. But then I also have like the other end of the spectrum where I might have like a 40-year-old guy who can't squat for diddly, can't do diddly squat, can't squat for shit. And like it's taken us 2 years to be able to get him to squat, but he's just got like the worst back posture known to mankind. But like again, like posture, like not everything as well. Like you can't go wrong getting strong. That's Adam Meekins.
Can't go wrong getting strong. I like that.
Yeah. So that's Adam Meekins, by the way. Like he's actually the guy that gave me my reference for the physiotherapy. Like he taught me a lot about training as well, which is why I got back into running with like my knee in it, and it really helped with that for 2 years. But yeah, start slow.
Start slow. And make it enjoyable. I think those are the key takeaways.
Yeah, 70%, not 100%.
So that's pretty much the end then. And I guess that I know it. Like I almost wanted to go on forever. Why?
Why?
So
Fuck's sake.
part of it is the episode. The episode.
Sorry, I'll start. I think I got like.
Paddy, you're fine, Paddy. Yeah. This is just Patrick, like in a nutshell. Like it's.
Yeah, after a few beers, mate, you won't like.
That's
the
thing.
Appropriate level just goes down and like.
Like I don't know if we're ready for that episode with booze involved.
Nah. Well, soon. It'll be soon. I'll be making more trips to the toilet though, won't I?
Yeah, unbelievably so.
Just get me a catheter, a leg bag.
But
sorry, guys.
We'll leave it there for today. But yeah, I would love to keep going on, but like I try and limit it to an hour to just try and condense it.
Yeah.
And almost then force. Like I don't think we did it so much today, but like try and force you to limit what you're saying. But
yeah,
I think we covered so much.
No,
there's a lot of information in there, but I think the key takeaways are just to, as you say, almost in that sort of closing statement of like, make it enjoyable, make it fun, realise that it's not like a one size fits all, and there's no hard and fast rules. Yeah,
there's no hard and fast rules. Everything that you just said there, like summed it up, and just make it specific to you and what you want to achieve. Like there's no point looking at like matey on Instagram who has like perfect abs, but he's been training for like 10 years. He's just paid for a £1,000 photo shoot, and he's doing it on some fucking beach in Ibiza somewhere with great quality lighting. Do you know what I mean?
Are you prepared to put in those hours?
Yeah, be prepared to put in the hours. Like it's like, don't, if you see it as a sacrifice, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? Find something that you want to put the hours towards. Make it enjoyable. Make it enjoyable. Make it consistent.
And that can then be the entry into sort of that other stuff, because I think if you focus immediately on like, okay, what's the end position? Like I want to be that guy with the six pack abs on like the beach in Ibiza. That's a very long way to get there. And if you just start maybe with something that's enjoyable, fun, get moving, get active. That can then be like, okay, now I found a baseline. Now I can go into a gym and be able to do like things with reasonable form, reasonably well. Like I'm not going to injure myself. I'm going to be hitting it at that 70%. And having a good time with it.
That's it. You just you know it now. You can be the PT Sam.
Do you know what? Low key, I've considered doing PT, but low key.
Oh mate, I'd help you out if you need help with it. It's brilliant. It's fun.
We'll talk about it off air because we've run out of time.
It's the only job where like your clients are probably more inappropriate than you. I think someone called me. I think it was a 5 foot fuck all monster for like abusing, and this guy was like 7 foot, by the way. And I just absolutely annihilated him.
Yeah, you probably deserved it, didn't you?
Probably deserved it. Yeah. No, completely. I deserved it. But like it's like if someone, that's the thing as a coach. Like this is for you coaches out there. Like you're not doing your job unless someone hates you. Do you know what I mean? Your client has to hate you. Like they're paying you. For them to hate you. Yeah,
I'm with you on that. So we've got 2 minutes left. Are there any last things you want to say?
No, it was just thank you so much for having me on it today. It was great. And,
of course, it was good. It's something different, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. No, it was great. I enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for
coming.
Nice
to get my story.
We'll end it there.
Don't kill it.
That's it. It's done. Let's end that one.
I enjoyed that. That was sick, man. Broke my knuckle now.